Hi everyone, welcome to the new virtual reality, Protecting Victims of Cyberstalking. My name is Ashley Carter, and I'm a managing attorney at the DC Volunteer Lawyers Project in Washington, D.C. I focus my practice on representing survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking, and I'm really excited to be giving this presentation today and speaking with you about cyberstalking. This is something that has really been on the rise and I think is really important for attorneys, particularly those who are interested in assisting victims. So I'm hopeful that you'll come away from this presentation today with some skills that will assist you in that representation. In terms of course objectives, following today's training, participants will understand the law surrounding stalking and particularly virtual forms of stalking or cyberstalking, recognize legal relief available for stalking victims, and be prepared to collect evidence and spot issues that might arise when representing cyberstalking victims. So we'll start with just an overview of stalking and what the issue is. In the year 2019, 3.4 million people in the United States who were aged 16 or older were victims of stalking. That is 1 in 6 women, about 16%, and 1 in 19 men in the United States have experienced stalking victimization at some point during their lifetime. 1 in 6 women is a huge number. Less than a third of those victims, about 29%, reported the victimization to police. So we know that there's an enormous issue, but it's often going unreported, particularly to the criminal justice system. The impact of stalking, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 7 stalking victims has been forced to move as a result of their victimization. Just think about that for a second. 1 in 7 of these people who've been affected have had to up and move their entire home. It's a huge disturbance in their lives, and these are people who really feel like they have nowhere to go to escape. 1 in 8 stalking victims has reported losing work because of the stalking, and more than half of those victims reported losing 5 or more work days. And I can also say anecdotally that a number of my clients feel like they have to move jobs as well because of stalking, because there is no escape as long as this person knows where they work. And stalking is often an indicator of other forms of violence as well. 81% of women who were stalked by a current or former husband or cohabitating partner were also physically assaulted by that partner, so we know that there is a correlation between stalking and other forms of violence. 31% of those women were sexually assaulted by that partner. And in addition to that, we know that 76%, and that's enormous, 76% of women who were murdered by an intimate partner were stalked first. And 85% of women who have survived murder attempts were stalked. That really is an incredible figure. We know that stalking is a very accurate predictor of future violence, particularly attempts at murder. And so it's really important that when we see stalking behavior, we take it seriously and we recognize the impact that it can have. And when you really look at all 3 of these statistics, stalking has a huge impact on people's lives. They have to move. They have to quit work or lose income. They might be a victim of an attempted murder. And we know that stalking is predictive of all of those things. So it's incredibly important to recognize that stalking has a huge impact on people who are victims. Now, in terms of what the law says, the law has really been developed pretty recently. This is a very modern body of law. California enacted the nation's first anti-stalking law in 1990. So when we think about it, I mean, these laws are at most 32 years old. That is the oldest stalking law that we have. At this point, all 50 states and the federal government have criminalized stalking in some form. So we know that it is now criminal in all 50 states to stalk someone. But the laws vary wildly by state. There are enormous differences state by state. Federal law, as I mentioned, also criminalizes stalking, and the federal law looks very different from most state laws.